Good morning, everybody, and welcome from Elkton, Maryland. Here I am in my office. This is Attorney Bowers, your accident and injury attorney, coming at you like I do every Monday morning, 10 a.m. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to hop into either of the chat or comment sections and let us know where you are tuning in from and any questions that you have. As you know, we will try to answer those if they are on today's topic in today's episode. Otherwise, we will work on putting them into a future episode of the Monday Morning Lawyer. This week, here's what we're going to talk about. A very, very simple but often misunderstood concept, and that concept is full coverage insurance. We're going to talk about full coverage insurance. What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? What are the common misconceptions that are out there surrounding full cover insurance, full coverage insurance, specifically with automobile accidents? As you can imagine, our office primarily handling accident cases, injury cases from those accidents. We deal with auto insurance policies all day, every day. Before we get into this week's topic, I want to, number one, just wish everybody a happy Memorial Day. Hope that we are out there remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could do what we do here in the U.S. every single day. Also, I want to remind everybody, actually, I don't know if I've announced this yet on here, but there is a fundraiser show coming up. And as you probably have observed, we like to throw out some community events out there so that you're aware of some stuff that's going on. We usually only touch on one of these in any given episode, if we do any at all, but this is an upcoming event. It is a mind reading and hypnosis show. I am actually the hypnotist. It is kind of what I do to entertain myself and others when I am not here practicing law. This is a great cause. This is an organization called Live Like Jen. It's for a local person who has stage 4 cervical cancer and has gone through all of the traditional care that which health insurance will pay for, and is now looking to raise funds and has done so with a good deal of success. This is going to be a great show. It's going to be a big show. Tickets are already moving pretty quickly, even though we are still 1 month away. The tickets are set up in sections, so if you want good tickets, buy them soon, because there's only so many of the VIP tickets, so many of the first tier tickets, so on and so forth. But yeah, that just go to betweentwominds.com, the website that is there. We often will link, since we sponsor this type of stuff, to those things also on our Facebook page, or just like and bookmark this video, come back to it to find where it is. Hopefully we see you there. They're always a good time, always a lot of fun. So without further ado, after that quick little message, I want to get into this topic that I run into, like I said, every day in my office, because we are dealing typically with at least 2 auto insurance companies. With each and every one of these claims that we're dealing with, there's typically the coverage for our client, which is the one that you have the most control over. Obviously, you can pick up the phone right now. Well, maybe not today because it's Memorial Day, but you could pick up the phone on any given business day. You can call your insurance agent and you can say, hey, I want to take a look at my policy. I want to make the following changes to my policy, because that policy is there to protect you. And we'll kind of get into why that is. And again, many of these topics are going to be overlapping and overreaching other episodes. So we're going to do kind of a surface view of it all here today. And then in future episodes, we will be digging deeper into certain elements of some of the relevant auto insurance coverage when it comes to dealing with an accident. So first and foremost, I mentioned, and this is a super important PSA, I mentioned in there picking up the phone and calling your insurance agents. Many of you who are watching this video probably just purchased your auto insurance policy online. You hopped on the phone, on your smartphone, you type into there, go to their website, and then you go and you just You don't even know what you're buying. You don't have anybody to explain it to you. And I guarantee you, if you work with a company that has an agent, that the price for the exact same coverage, like for example, you can go to statefarm.com or progressive.com or erieinsurance.com. You could go to their website and you could say, I specifically want the following coverage, and it's going to spit you out a quote. You can then take that, print that, then the very same day you call an agent for the same company, you're going to get precisely the same quote. What does this mean? It means you get a live person, an agent, somebody to add an extra layer of customer service to you when you need it the most for $0. You should always be using a live insurance agent. Don't buy it online. You're basically giving the bigger company more money for absolutely nothing. And what I have found, because over the years, to kind of get an idea of what insurance rates are with different companies, we often will go through as if we're going to set up a policy. And one of the things that I see all the time from many of these companies that want to drive you to buy online is that worse coverage is typically the default setting. They will waive important coverage for you as the default setting. They will hide in the waiver and all of the documents that you e-sign because nobody reads all that stuff. If you are somebody that reads every line from every online contract that you've ever signed, you call me. All right. I will call you out on your bluff because I'm sure you haven't. So they're trying to move this that way because when they can get you to waive coverage, it means at claim time, they don't have to pay. But more importantly, I want to get into this topic, today's topic, which is about full coverage insurance. You've heard the term. I've heard the term. People talk around this term all the time, full coverage insurance, and what they want and what the natural effect of using this term full coverage is that you're supposed to feel safe. You're supposed to feel as if anything that can go wrong is going to be handled by your auto insurance company. But this concept of full coverage insurance, it's a little deceiving. I'm not going to say that it's an outright lie, but it shifts the narrative of what's really important when buying insurance. Here's the example that I like to give. All right. And if you have ever been a client of mine, there is a high probability that you've heard me have this conversation with you or somebody in my office before, is that buying insurance is kind of like buying a cup of coffee at a coffee shop. I don't care where you buy your coffee, whether it's one of the big chains, whether it's one of the local shops, there are going to be multiple sizes that are available to you. Okay, you got small cups, large cups. Some of them have those big boxes that you can, have coffee for your entire office all day and some the next day because there's usually like 3 pots of coffee in one of those bad boys. Here's the thing. When you buy that cup of coffee, it's going to be full. They're going to hand it to you over the counter full. You expect it to be full, don't you? I bought a cup of coffee. I didn't buy an empty cup. I didn't buy a half empty cup or a half full cup, depending on what your perspective is. You bought a full cup of coffee. But if you bought the little cup, you don't have nearly as much coffee as if you bought that box or one of the larger sizes that's in a cup. Auto insurance works the exact same way. When you have full coverage, that means that you have all of the things, okay? You have liability coverage, which, by the way, is mandatory in Maryland. So no matter what policy you purchase, you're going to have liability coverage. You're going to have a coverage called uninsured motorist coverage, also mandatory. You may or may not have coverages called collision, which is if you cause an accident, it pays for the damage to your vehicle. Or comprehensive. This is the coverage that's usually used for like windshields, or if something hits you when you're not in the vehicle, that's the comprehensive coverage. Deer, if you get hit by a deer, which we see a lot of that in Cecil County, that's covered by the comprehensive coverage. Those are optional. Those also carry different amounts of deductibles. We're not going to get into that in this episode. You also should have a coverage called personal injury protection coverage. This is a no-fault coverage. This is a no-fault coverage that you can purchase with most companies up to $10,000 worth of coverage. It's a no-fault coverage, which means if you use it, by statute, your rates will not increase. You will not lose any discounts or any sort of package deals or anything like that. It cannot negatively affect your rates using personal injury protection coverage. It will pay for wage loss. It will pay for medical bills. And ultimately, again, a different topic for a different day, it puts more money in your pocket when our office settles your case, because a lot of those medical bills have been paid. So the part of your settlement that's part of paying the medical bills doesn't have to go to pay the medical bills. You get to keep it. Full coverage means you have all of those things. Great. Or is it? I don't know why those where the fireworks came from. I'm learning something new about this platform every day. Let me try that again. Great. Nope. I don't know. Who knows where those fireworks came from? So that's a little bit of a diversion there. Wasn't planning on that. So full coverage means you have all of the things, but the problem is, how big is that cup? The little cup, the smallest cup that you can buy for liability coverage in Maryland, covers $30,000 per person, $60,000 per accident. And what that second number means, the per accident number, you have 2, 3, 4 people. The most that insurance policy is going to pay out on that claim for all of those people's claims added up, $60,000. No one person can get more than $30,000. Why does this matter? Well, your insurance protects you in 2 ways. Number one, it protects you as a shield. If you cause an accident, it's your fault, and somebody else is injured. That $30,000 limit is the size of that shield. It's how much money your insurance company is potentially going to pay out. That's the cap of their obligation to pay that claim. But here's the problem. $30,000 a lot of times isn't enough. Let's break it down for you. If you went in an ambulance, or if you injured somebody and they went to the hospital in an ambulance, there's $1,000, sometimes more. Different companies, different amounts. The hospital itself, you're talking about spending several $1,000s in the hospital if they are treated and released. If they're admitted, you're talking about multiple thousands of dollars per day. We're on day one here already, and we're at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 if somebody took an ambulance to the hospital. Then most people, if they're injured to the point where they're getting transported to the emergency room, are going to need to follow up with their primary care doctor. There's a couple $100. Physical therapy is a couple $100 every session. Usually people are going 3 to 4 times a week for a month, and then it kind of tails off if from then, depending on how they are improving. Sometimes it's multiple months. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take much for these claims to get to that $30,000 number. And that's just in the medical bills. We haven't even started talking about pain and suffering. The average case value, probably $60,000, $70,000 on average. So do the math. $30,000 is not enough to cover it, which means if you get sued and there's a verdict of $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, your insurance company is going to cut the check for $30,000 and say, "Good luck, buddy. Good luck, my friend. You're on the hook for the rest of it." So again, make sure that size of the shield is big enough to protect you. I don't recommend that anybody, assuming you can afford it, have auto insurance that's less than $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. More importantly, if you are a homeowner, even though this policy does not directly correlate with your home, you need to have a shield that's big enough to cover the value of your house. Why is that? Well, it's not going to pay for your house, but when you have liability insurance, you also have uninsured motorist coverage. One of the other ways in which our policies protect us is if somebody else out there who doesn't have insurance, which is about 25% of the population at any given time, different areas are higher than others, but across the board, it's around 25% of the people that are out there driving in this country do not have insurance at all. Your policy kicks in. Your policy pays the claim. You need to make sure that among other insurance policies that are out there, but today we're just talking about auto insurance, that if you were to be injured to the point where you couldn't work again, that your auto insurance policy, your uninsured motorist coverage, could pay off your house. Because you don't know, if you can't work again, if you'll ever work again. And if it is the fact that you're going to be out of work for years and years and years, if not forever, you want that claim to be able to pay because your employer's not, you're out of work. It takes years for many people to qualify for Social Security disability. And that's all only paying a fraction of what you were actually making as a wage. So none of these are going to make ends meet for you. So you want to make sure that you have that coverage and you have enough of that coverage to take care of you if you are injured by somebody who does not have insurance at all or does not have enough insurance. Now, one of the things that we do in our office, because this is a super complicated thing to break down, we offer an absolutely free. You do not need to be a client of ours. If you are a client of ours, you're getting this for free as part of us representing you. You don't have to be in an accident. In fact, it's better. Yes, it is better if you were to reach out to us, send an email to the address above, make a phone call to the number down below, and say, hey, I want you to take a look at my auto insurance policy. I'm going to say, thank you. Email it to me. You're going to email me something called a declarations page. It's going to have a breakdown of all of those different coverages on your policy. We're going to see how big your full cup is, and I'm going to break it down for you. I may have some questions for you about what you have going on at home, whether you own a house or anything like that. And I'm going to talk to you about what recommendations you might want to make for your policy. Now, I've said this before, back when the podcast used to be on the radio. I don't sell insurance. There is no sales pitch at the end. You take the information and the guidance and the advice that I give you, and you do with it what you want. Hopefully you pick up the phone, you call your agent, and you say, hey, I'd like to see what it would cost for me to make the following changes. Then they're going to give you a quote, and and more often than not, it's dollars, single digit dollars a month to make huge changes to much greater benefit in that auto insurance policy. So the big takeaway here, make sure you're taking a look at that auto insurance policy. There are videos in the YouTube channel, not in the podcast section, but there are videos in the YouTube channel that talk about how to self-evaluate your auto insurance policy. Feel free to look at one of those if you don't have time or you don't want to call my office, but you're always welcome to call my office or email me at the info@bowerslawmd.com. This one right up here, the same one that you would use if you have another topic that you want us to talk about. Send me that policy. Usually, I'm going to turn it around in a day or two. If I'm in the middle of a week-long trial, I'll probably shoot you an email back being like, hey, I'm in a trial. I'll get back to you next week. But you're going to have a time frame. Typically, it's a quick turnaround unless I'm in trial or out of the office for whatever reason. But I will try to communicate that with you if there's going to be a delay. You should be looking at your auto policy every year, every 2 years at the most. So pick a landmark day. I don't know, maybe Memorial Day, and say, hey, every year around Memorial Day, I'm going to take a look at my auto insurance policy. That way, when that day pops around, whether it be New Year's Day or whether it be St. Patrick's Day or Memorial Day or Labor Day, there's a trigger in your mind that says, hey, I should be doing something today. I should be looking at my auto policy. I need to make sure that my full coverage actually is the size cup that I need it to be. So that's what I got. This is Attorney Bowers, your accident and injury guy. Hope this was useful for you. Hope this was informative. As always, don't hesitate. If you've got follow-up questions, to shoot me an email, because it's going to have me pop on another episode like this and explain things in more depth, or I'll probably explain it to you directly. I'm happy to do so. And again, I don't charge money for this. We have fees if we, that are based on what we settle cases for the auto cases. But if you have an auto accident, there's zero money up front. Any of these kind of questions, you're basically getting that kind of advice pro bono. And because I'm not an insurance agent, there's nothing for me to sell you at the end. I'm just giving you information. You do with it as you want. Also, remember, we put out a call to action for you to tell us about some of the common scams that you're familiar with. We have an overwhelming amount of ideas to talk about in the scam episode, that the entire month of June will be scam centered episodes. We will talk about different scams in different kind of topic areas each week in the month of June. So if you know people that are susceptible to scams, definitely let them know about the podcast. Definitely let them know to be watching in June or after those episodes have aired in June, because they're going to be super valuable. Friends, family members, or otherwise that you want to help keep out of that kind of trouble, because there seems to be more and more of it, and it gets more and more creative each and every time. So until next time, my friends, this is Attorney Bowers from your Monday Morning Lawyer and Bowers Law, signing off. Be well.